The very mention of the word Alaska makes the hunter's pulse race a bit faster. Indeed, Alaska is a sportsman's paradise, with multiple big game species worthy of a trip into her vast wilderness area. But of all her game, one animal stands the unquestioned king when the talk turns to hunting our 49th state. No matter if you call him the Kodiak bear, the Kodiak brown bear, the Alaskan grizzly, or the Alaskan brown bear, the huge predators that rule the islands and coastlines are Alaska's ultimate big game species. I've hunted these great bears myself and consider them among the top trophies available in all of North America. One very effective method for hunting these coastal bears is cruising bays and fjords in well-equipped boats, which also serve as floating camps, and glassing the shore for feeding bears. Once a promising bear is spotted, the hunters use a small craft to get them to the beach, where a final stalk can be made. On today's show, Trijicon's Stephen Bindon and Andrew Chilkowitz head to Alaska in search of trophy brown bear with Glacier Mountain Outfitters, one of the top bear outfitters in the state. Today, it's a brown bear adventure with a nautical twist as we open the pages of Trijicon's World of Sports Afield.
Trijicon's World of Sports Afield is presented by Trijicon, Brilliant Aiming Solutions, DSC, the Dallas Safari Club, Ruger Firearms, Hornady Manufacturing, accurate, deadly, dependable, the Wildlife Gallery Custom Taxidermy Studio, Carl Zeiss Sport Optics, we make it visible, Boyd Harness Company, Cannon Safes, nothing protects like a cannon, the Wild Sheep Foundation,
and Les Chameaux, the best boots money can buy.
This hunt, like many Alaskan adventures, started with an arrival in the port city of Anchorage. From there, a charter flight got the hunters to the floating camp that would serve as both transportation as well as a comfortable and, more importantly, mobile base of operations. A boat-based hunt is a wonderful alternative to a remote tent-style camp. Not only does it allow the hunter to cover a far wider area in search of a big bear, but there's never a dull moment as new sights and sounds greet you around every island or bend in the shoreline. And it sure beats a long, wet hike back to a wet tent after a hard day's hunt.
Well, one of the things you're going to want to do before or even during the hunt is take care of all of your documentation. In this case, we're taking care of that on the boat as we go. And it's more helpful to have all this out of the way before you start to get into the throes of hunting. Outfitters definitely going to want to make sure that's all taken care of before we set foot on ground to go after any animal.
With the arrival to the hunting area, it was off to sight in the rifles. The Trijicon brand burst onto the hunting scene with the development of their AccuPoint series of rifle scopes. Joining President Stephen Bindon and marketing manager Andrew Chilkowitz on the hunt would be John Zent, a popular outdoor personality and editorial director of NRA Publications. All three men are experienced outdoorsmen who knew firsthand Alaska's reputation for fickle weather and challenging hunting conditions. Yet all involved look forward to the opportunity to test themselves against the big coastal bears under true fair chase conditions. The quest for brown bear of Alaska begins next on Trijicon's World of Sports Afield. The Hunting Tradition, brought to you by Dallas Safari Club.
I'm Diana Rupp, Editor-in-Chief of Sports Afield magazine, with this week's installment of The Hunting Tradition. In 1887, Claude King of Denver, Colorado, founded a magazine called Sports Afield. The first issue, published in January 1888, consisted of 8 pages printed on newspaper stock. The Journal for Gentlemen, as he called it, promised to be devoted to hunting, fishing, rifle and trap shooting, and the breeding of thoroughbred dogs. Before the decade was out, Sports Afield had expanded its operations and moved to Chicago, and soon some issues were running 96 pages. It had become a voice for hunters, anglers, and shooters all over the country. By the 1920s and 30s, writers included Zane Grey and Archibald Rutledge, and soon Nash Buckingham. In 1953, the magazine was purchased by Hearst Magazines and moved to New York City, and shortly thereafter its circulation topped 1 million. Colonel Townsend Whelan, Jack Denton Scott, and Russell Annabelle were some of its notable writers. In the late 1990s, a move by Hearst to make its sporting title more politically correct failed, and subsequently the magazine was sold. In 2002, the owners of Safari Press, a successful publishing company specializing in high-end hunting and firearms books, purchased Sports Afield. The new owners relaunched the magazine as a top-quality publication focusing solely on high-adventure big game hunting around the world, utilizing the most knowledgeable writers in the field today. The new Sports Afield was an immediate hit with readers and continues to strengthen and grow as it approaches its 125th anniversary as the oldest outdoor magazine in print today. Building on its long history, Sports Afield has once again established itself as a leading hunting magazine for the 21st century. You can learn more about the hunting tradition in every issue of Sports Afield magazine and at sportsafield.com.
Well, we worked our way into some of these back bays. It's getting a little late, probably about 7, 8 o'clock at night. You see about 500 yards away, there's about a male and a female in the grass. A little too far away to get a good look at it. I'm trying to get to the shoreline, walk our way along the shoreline so you get a better vantage point and see what we're really looking at.
The open beach would necessitate a relatively long shot as cover would run out, but Andrew felt confident that he could seal the deal if the boar stayed put and offered a shot. But the greatest threat to this stalk was the fickle wind blowing into the bay. The bear, as a species, has one of nature's most well-developed senses of smell and can detect both food and danger at simply unbelievable distances. Greg had little option but to continue the direct approach to the bear and hope the shifting breeze would not blow up the beach to the bears. With the bears' attention fixed on each other, the plan was made to stalk quickly but quietly into position. One molecule of man scent will send a mature bruin into flight. Unfortunately for Andrew, he got a clear insight into the old Indian proverb that says, "A leaf falls in the forest. The eagle saw it, the deer heard it, but the bear smelt it." This hunt provided challenges of several kinds. With 3 hunters on the prowl at the same time and only 1 cameraman to capture the action, the end of each day featured several "man, the cameraman should have been with us today" moments. As the days played out, each hunter had opportunities at bears that were not quite what they were looking for. Some very large bears were spotted, but they were on the move in search of food and females. And despite the best efforts of the guides, never offered a good chance of a shot.
Going bear hunting this morning. Had some tough luck so far, but we have been seeing a lot of bears, and it's just a matter of getting yourself in the right spot at the right time. That's what we're fixing to do right now.
John Zent and his guide had formulated a plan that, if it worked, would allow them to ambush a bear they had seen previously, but had been unable to approach.
All right, we've walked down the beach here to a place where we're setting up. We've seen numerous bears cross right down here at this corner. We haven't been able to get here quick enough to get on one before they go up into the mountains there. So we're going to sit here for a good while and just wait for the bear to come by.
Fresh off their long winter sleep, the bears are looking for food. They prefer grasses to protein as their systems come back to life. John and his guide, Craig, had chosen a quiet bay where several bears had been spotted previously. Their plan was perfect in theory, but an unexpected wind switch from the east forced them to retreat before their scent alerted any bears downwind. It was a dejected John Zent who walked back to the skiff, but Lady Luck was soon going to blow him a kiss. John Zent moves in on a big coastal grizzly when Trijicon's World of Sports Afield returns. As a disappointed John Zent pulled into camp, someone looked back to the beach and asked, "And just why aren't you boys after that nice bear over there?"
Right at that corner.
Those three
Yeah,
trees
yeah.
are base of the
Okay.
So right there, take a shot from there.
Okay. We have to stay low.
A wise, though unnecessary insurance shot brought an end to a day that had seen both agony of defeat and the thrill of victory. Hunting is like the Alaskan weather. It can be fickle in nature, but those who can ride out the tough parts are often rewarded in the end. John had kept his hopes alive with hard work and a positive attitude. His reward was a beautifully furred coastal grizzly that any hunter would be proud to take. There's little doubt that John's adventure will end up as a feature article, as John is as good with a keyboard as he is with a rifle. Alaskans have a saying, if you're enjoying the weather in Alaska, don't worry, a storm is right around the corner.
Lows in the mid-40s. East wind 15 to 30 miles an hour with gusts to 45 miles an hour, shifting to the southeast 10 to 25 miles an hour after midnight. Gale warning tonight.
Well, we had a real rough day here on the bay. We haven't even been able to get out the boat. Gale force winds, lots of rain, and right now the outfitter and his crew are having a tough time keeping the skiff boats separated at the back of the boat. They're tied off by line and they keep getting crossed, and we've got one boat swamped and pretty much half submerged right now, and they're just trying to keep things in some kind of a semblance of order as to not cause more problems to lose all of the boats. So they've got their hands full today.
about 50 miles an hour, and one of the skiffs got loose from the side of the big boat, so they had to take another skiff to go get it and bring it back before it hit the beach, because if it hits the beach, it'll get swamped and sink.
A storm so typical of the Alaskan spring had roared down the coast and put an immediate halt to bear hunting. The crew had the hard, wet job of securing the two skiffs, one of which had broken free, to the main vessel before they filled and sank. Bad weather is just an accepted reality of hunting here, but the successful hunter will learn to roll with the punches until Mother Nature's mood improves. A little Alaskan rain won't stop Stephen Bindon in his search of a trophy bruin. His hunt is next on Trijicon's World of Sports Afield. And now, Inside the Hunt, brought to you by Hornady.
On today's Inside the Hunt, let's talk about layering. You know, we talk about layering, and a lot of people don't really know what that means. The thing is, when you're exercising, you're going to get warm, but when you stop to sit, whether you're going to glass or climb into your stand, well, when you're sitting still, you can get very, very cold very quickly. So the only real solution is to have multiple layers of clothing that you can add or remove depending on the conditions, because what you don't want is you don't want to get cold, but you also don't want to sweat inside your clothes, because then when you stop, you're going to get really cold. This is a fleece layer from Boyd. I tell you what, Boyd makes great gear, and they're designed for layering, and fleece is a great outer layer and cool to mild weather, but now this one is both waterproof and windproof. So I've used this as an outer layer in really very, very cold conditions, and as long as you put good stuff underneath it, it's amazing what it'll do. You've got to be able to stop that wind, and that's a real problem with a lot of fleece, is while it's warm, it doesn't stop the wind. And this one's windproof and waterproof, and it's just a fantastic piece of gear. But layering is really the very best approach. And you know, I do a lot of mountain hunting, and when I'm going uphill, I'm going to start shedding clothes very quickly. When you get to the top and you're going to sit down in glass, then the wind comes up a little bit. It's amazing how cold you can get, and then the clothes start coming back on. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about layering.
This segment is brought to you by Cannon Safes. Nothing protects like a cannon.
Well, we're heading back out. As you can probably tell, it's raining pretty hard. The reason we're excited is that we saw a bear on the point, one of the island points over here, and our goal is to get around the other side of the point. We know that there are a couple of more bears out that way that we saw yesterday. We're just going to have to be patient on a day like this and wait for them to come down on the beach.
Rain gear and waders on, Stephen Bindon and company made the long walk toward the head of a bay where they had seen a large boar. Several streams had to be forded en route, but that's just the normal bear stalk when you're after coastal bears. Unfortunately, the weather turned worse as they approached the bear's last position, and although rifle scopes and camera lenses don't care for rain, it bothers the bears not one bit. But just as the weather turned bad, Stephen's luck took a big turn for the better.
This is the fun part. Waist-high brush, wounded bear. Is this exciting or what?
Brown bear, the most dangerous game in North America. And with the rain coming down and darkness fast approaching, Greg decided not to push the bear and instead return in the morning. The new day dawned bright, clear, and full of promise. The bear was lying 200 feet from where the track was left the evening before.
Well, Stephen, congratulations.
Thanks.
Nice bear.
Thanks, Greg.
Good job. This was not the hunt we may have had in our minds. This was not a beachfront hunt. This was a little bit of everything, wasn't it?
It was a lot. We had some bad weather, we had some good weather, and we had to do a pretty long stalk on this bear.
Yeah, we put a little mileage on the boots to get to this bear.
All the way around this cove here must have been 2-3 miles, I think, but what I figured out.
We thought that we had a bead on him. We thought we were going to go up to the left and look up into the creek bed, but lo and behold, he came out to our left, and he had to put a pretty good snapshot on him. Thanks to Greg's shoulder as a rest.
Yeah.
Put a great shot on him.
Thanks for the shoulder, Greg.
We have to improvise.
Emotions were as sunny as the day as the team admired what many hunters feel is North America's greatest trophy, a brown bear. Trijicon's World of Sports Afield has been brought to you by Trijicon, brilliant aiming solutions, DSC, the Dallas Safari Club, Ruger Firearms, Hornady Manufacturing, accurate, deadly, dependable, the Wildlife Gallery Custom Taxidermy Studio, Zeiss Sport Optics, Boyd Harness Company, Cannon Safes, nothing protects like a cannon, the Wild Sheep Foundation,
and Les Chameaux, the best boots money can buy.
Closed captioning provided by Getting Involved, a guide to hunting and conservation for kids.